Happy Sunday. Let's find a nice comfy seat. We'll settle in for a little grounding, anchoring. Maybe you let your eyes close here. Find your way into some nice, easy exchange of the inhale and the exhale. So there's this very angry, very aggressive tyrant that is ruling this kingdom with a lack of concern for the populace. Give ourselves just another 60 seconds here, just feeling the inclinations of the body here, feeling any pieces that feel resistant or free. Any catches in the breath, any areas of the breath that feel fluid and easy, unrestricted. Last 10 seconds here. And when it feels appropriate for you, if the eyes are closed, let's allow them to open. Let's take our right hand over the lateral edge of the left thigh and just give ourselves a nice opening twist here. And a feeling what is available to you in your rotational capacity and what might be a little bit more limited. And then we'll relax back to neutral. Settle. We'll do the same thing to the second side, left hand to lateral edge of the right thigh, and just feeling into our capacity to twist, or maybe our limitations in our desire to twist. And we'll come back to neutral. And let's transition to hands and knees, tabletop. And as you find your way into tabletop, just splay your fingers out nice and wide. Just think about how you can build that structural integrity there. Let's take the hands out maybe an inch wider than they'd normally be and do the same thing with the knees. So we just have a little bit more width, latitude added to the body. And let's exhale out and round the back, tuck the chin, tuck the tailbone, flow into the middle of this extension energy of the spine. And then we'll inhale, reverse course. Drop the belly, lift the tailbone, lift the chin. Feel that anterior sheath of expansion. And then reverse again. Exhaling out. Spine rounds, chin tucks, tailbone tucks. And when you're ready, reversing to this extension energy, belly drops, tailbone lifts, chin lifts. Let's just do that a couple more times, just with our own pacing and with our own breath, feeling that flexion energy of the middle of the back arching and the extension energy of the lumbar bending as the belly drops, trying to feel the musculature of the torso and the posterior and anterior chains as we get into those full flexion and extension models. And eventually, when you feel like you've balanced out, when you feel like you've had enough, let's just land back in child's pose. And as we settle into child's pose, maybe you sway the tailbone a little bit to capture that full depth of the shape. We really allow ourselves to breathe and settle fully into your child's pose energy. We'll give ourselves just about 20 more seconds here. And when it feels appropriate for you, let's pull ourselves forward. We'll refine tabletop one time just to check in with some elongation. Let's curl our toes, lift our seat, and roll our way into down dog. Maybe you pedal out the calves a little bit here. Just looking to wake up the posterior chain. And then when you're complete, we'll come back down to hands and knees. Tabletop, sink our way back into child's pose, and take your left hand over to the left edge of your mat, and then let your right hand come and stack on top of that left. So we get a little lateral edge bend. Feel that intercostal space on the right side of the body expand as you respirate into the rib cage. And so this tyrant has kind of used all of the earthly tactics to control the populace. And they're still just a little bit more unruly than he would like. And so he's called upon the kingdom's greatest alchemist. And she is sitting in the king's throne room. And he is describing to her what he wants made. When it feels appropriate for you, let's come back to neutral hand alignment. So allow the torso to reintegrate towards neutral. Let's pull ourselves forward to hands and knees tabletop. Here you have a choice. You can go back into some cat cows, or maybe you go into one little down dog, but something that just allows you to rebalance and reintegrate. And then when you feel ready for it, let's come back to a traditional tabletop and then sink our way back into child's pose. Take your right hand over to the right edge of the mat and let the left hand come and stack on top. And as you breathe, try to feel that lateral line expansion along the left side of the body. And so this tyrant is saying that he wants two potions. He wants a potion that can put someone, many people, in agony. And he wants another that can put someone in a state of happiness, joy, pleasure. And this alchemist, she's writing down everything that he wants. She's thinking, internally, these are impossible requests, but that answer cannot be given to a tyrant. Last 5 seconds here. You just feel that last little bit of respirational expansion. And then when it feels appropriate for you, let's bring the hands back to neutral and let the torso integrate, then pull yourselves forward. And this time, just take your hands out to the width of the mat and bring your knees together, or as close together as you can comfortably get them. So heels of the feet and the knees are as close together as you can comfortably get them. And we're just going to add a little hip sway here. Hands are wide so that you have a bit more stability. And then eventually we'll come back to neutral and extend our legs out in front of us for a little staff. In staff, we're just going to follow that, or we're going to follow the leg extension from staff into a fold. First seated fold of practice. You may feel this to be more restrictive than you expected or wanted. Remember, you can bend the knees and soften the shape for your body. Think about how much knee bend is needed to expand the torso. And that's kind of the appropriate amount. We want to feel this in the torso, not restricted in the high calf insertion or the mid hamstring. We'll give ourselves about 60 more seconds here. Last roughly 20 seconds. And when it feels appropriate for you, let's walk ourselves back up to staff. Let's grab our blankets or towels. And from a shelf fold, let's just hot dog fold both of them. So we end up with the ability to create something like a bolster. Maybe a smaller bolster, but a bolster nonetheless. And we're going to tuck that behind us. And then bring your knees to a bent position and let the knees fall over to the left. And as the knees fall to the left, align the lateral edge of your body with your bolster prop. We want this to kind of work the lumbar. So as you're headed down, just kind of think about positioning this so that it impacts the lumbar. Left hand here can be, or left arm can be underneath you if that feels appropriate. You can also just tuck that out of the way. Right hand can be in front of you. It can reach overhead. You can also tuck behind you, kind of chicken wing style. Looking for a nice lateral bend and the ability to impact your body with your respiration once again. So after the tyrant here explains what he's looking for, kind of just to prove that she was listening, the alchemist says, okay, so you want a potion that someone could drink and it could transform them to either be miserable or extremely happy. And the tyrant says, no, drinking is not, it has to be in a gaseous form. We must be able to give this to many people rapidly. She kind of slightly sighs, and the tyrant kind of looks at her crossways She very quickly jots that down and kind of props back into shape. And so the tyrant says, okay, you have 7 days. And you'll have full access to anything you need in the kingdom. And I've set up a laboratory here for you in my palace. And so she's shown to this huge laboratory with every ingredient you could possibly think of. It has this huge wooden door. She goes inside the laboratory. She closes the door. She bolts the door shut and goes to work. Really thinking about how your respiration is impacting you here. Where you're able to settle, to soften. Where you feel the impact of the propping, the impact of your breath. We'll give ourselves just about 90 more seconds here on this first side. Last 15 seconds here. When it feels appropriate for you, we're going to use that top hand, our right hand, to help press ourselves up to the seat, reposition ourselves so that our legs can extend out in front of us. Think about getting the spine tall and try to feel balance come back to the spinal column. And then let's take ourselves forward into a seated forward fold. We won't be here super long, but enough to kind of set and rebalance. Last 30 seconds here. And it feels appropriate. Let's come back to a nice vertical space. We'll bend our knees and let the knees fall over to the right, second side. And then we're going to allow ourselves to work over that prop situation on side two. Finding the opportunity to expand the lateral edges of your body. Left hand can be behind you, it can be planted, it can be reaching overhead, whatever feels the most impactful for your shoulder. For the next seven days, this tyrant will come kind of periodically, place his ear to the doorway of this laboratory, see if he can hear things. And inside, he hears quite a racket going on. Every once in a while, he'll try to silently jiggle the handle to open the door, but this alchemist has locked things from the inside. And inside, she's been distilling herbs and going through bottles and combining things, mashing things together. Heating things up, cooling things down. She's been hard at work. Really trying to tune in to the impact you can create within your body with each breath, with each cycle of respiration. Really feel into the end or the edge of the inhale breath. And think about what that is impacting, how that is impacting you. Last 90 seconds on this second side. Forget the capacity to draw and hold your breath into the expansiveness. Last 20 seconds here. And when it feels appropriate, let's use that left hand to press ourselves up into a seat. We'll extend our legs out in front of us again. Let's take one of our blankets, and we're just going to take the ball and place that inside the hot dog fold. So you end up with kind of a little taco there, ball inside. That's going to come down so that it can be impactful for our neck. The second blanket we'll keep in its hot dog shape, and we can just place that next to one of the thighs. And then we are headed into a seated forward fold. Last seated forward fold to practice. So any last bit of forward folding energy that you want to get out, now's a good time to focus in on that. Last 60 seconds here. And when it feels appropriate, let's bring ourselves back into staff, and then we're going to lower ourselves onto that waiting ball blanket prop for our cervical spine adjustment. 3 places that you can place this. We haven't done this in a couple of weeks, so just a reminder, base of the cervical spine, middle of the cervical spine, or base of the skull. All 3 of those are offering some nice, significant impacts and benefits, but each one will have its own kind of variant for your body. Just find what feels like it's the most beneficial and most impactful for you this morning. Really try to let your body relax across the prop here. Let that Gravitational pressure combined with the shape of the prop to do all the work, and all you have to do is be as relaxed as is possible. Find that fluidity and ease and softness within the breath. So as the days tick by, the king starts to get anxious to test out these new alchemized potions that are going to be created. And so he has his guards go out and search for two people, two unwilling test subjects. The first person that, give ourselves about 60 more seconds here. The first person the king wants arrested is someone with a heroic, positive, can-do attitude. And so the guards go out into the kingdom and they find this man who's helping this old woman across the street, stopping carriages of horses with his hands. And when he gets this woman across this incredibly busy intersection, after several near misses with these horse-drawn carriages where this man just stood in front of them with his hand out, the woman is safely across. The guards come and they apprehend this man. They pull him back to the palace dungeon. The king sees who's arrested and he's like, good. Or the tyrant sees who's arrested and he's like, good, good, good. When it feels appropriate for you, let's pull the prop out from underneath our head. We'll remove the ball and place that blanket down by the opposite side so that both of our thighs have the capacity to be supported by blankets if and when we bring the bottoms of the feet together and let the knees fall out wide. And then let's take our ball and we're going to place that behind our right knee. Now, this can be pretty sensitive. We're going to look to create some impact here. We're going to look to kind of reposition the tibia and fibia, the lower leg bones. And to do that, we're going to want to get our hands down as close to the ankle as possible. The left leg can be bent or it can be extended, whatever feels most optimal for you. And then we're looking to create some compression here on the ball so that the hamstring and the high calf insertion are encumbered by the pressure, let's say. It's not a comfortable feeling. It's not the easiest feeling, but our goal is just to relax. So we have the hands, they're creating the pressure. Our goal is to know that we're safe, that we're comfortable, that we are able to stop this at any time, and just sink into the sensation. See if we can feel the fluidity in our breath, feel the ease in our breath, feel the comfort in our respiration. So the next person that the king wants captured is a curmudgeon. And so the guards go back out, and they're looking for someone with kind of the opposite disposition here. Someone who is always looking for the worst, always expecting the worst, always unhappy. Last 60 seconds here on this first side. Remember that we're just trying to be at ease here. We know that there's sensation happening. We know that there's impact and change happening, but we're just trying to relax into that. Last 10 seconds here. It feels appropriate for you. Let's remove that ball. We'll bring both knees into a bent position if they're not already. Let the bottoms of the feet come together and the knees fall out wide. You have those props there that can help support you. And we just want to once again settle into ease. Keep track of where the ball is. We're going to need that for side 2. Last 30 seconds here. When it feels appropriate, we'll bring our knees back to a bent position. We're going to take our ball and we're going to place that behind the second side knee. And then we'll just slide our hands down towards our ankle. Again, you can extend the opposite leg if that feels comfortable, or you can keep it bent. Just looking for impact here. The side may feel more or less impactful than the first side. The key is that we relax through the sensation, that we're at ease within the sensation. Even if the sensation isn't fun, we could be at ease with it. And so the guards go into this park and they see this old man who's yelling at these kids making soap bubbles for making a mess. And they immediately know they have the right person. They walk up, they apprehend him, and they drag him back to the palace dungeon. And when the king sees who they brought back, or the tyrant sees who they brought back, he's thrilled. He's excited. That night, the last night, the tyrant goes and he puts his ear to the door of this laboratory, and he hears the alchemist inside, and she is frantically working. And he kind of smiles and rubs his hands together as he heads off to bed. Last 60 seconds here. Last 15 seconds here. All right. And it feels appropriate. Can remove that ball, bring both knees to a bent position if they're not already. Let the bottoms of the feet come together and the knees fall out wide. And feel yourself nice and supported here. Give ourselves just another 60 seconds here. Just letting your body relax into this external hip rotation. When it feels appropriate for you, we'll bring our knees back to neutral. You can keep the blankets where they are. You can move them out of the way. We're going to heel toe our feet out to the width of the mat and let the knees fall in towards one another. And think about how the lumbar spine just naturally neutralizes there. So the seventh day finally comes. The king is just it's just going to be a king now. The king tyrant is giddy. And eventually this giant wooden door that entrances and exits the laboratory opens. And this alchemist emerges, and she has these two brass vessels. And they're like sealed together, screwed together, and she's holding them like exceedingly delicately. And she presents them to the king. And then he says, well, let's hope these tests go well for your sake. And so she's told to go give each vessel to the guards. One that will make anyone experience agony, and one that will make anyone experience joy. And so the king has ordered the guards to disperse these to the two prisoners. Last 15 seconds here. When it feels appropriate, let's bring our knees back out to the width of the ankles and then heel toe the feet in line with the hips. And then just ask yourself if there's anything that you might want, that you might need, that you could benefit from, that could be impactful for you prior to Shavasana. And if there is anything, let's offer that to ourselves now. If you have everything that you want, if you have everything that you need, if you have everything you could benefit from, then let's just find our way into a shape where we can appreciate some stillness. And so this tyrant tells the guards to give this curmudgeonly man, this joyful creation, and this heroic man, this agonizing creation, and so the guards go over to this heroic prisoner's cell and they unscrew the top of this brass vessel and they just tilt it so that the gases can release into this cell. And as they do so, this heroic man like grabs his chest and falls to his knees and starts screaming. And just a few dungeon doors down, there's a guard unscrewing this brass vessel and tilting the gas towards this cell. And this curmudgeonly man starts with this big smile zipping across his face and then starts to giggle. We'll just settle into our version of stillness here. And so this tyrant, seeing that these two gaseous potions work, calls the alchemist into the throne room. This tyrant is just ear to ear smiles. He says, well, you've done it. I need to know, what did you do? Did you grind up a meteor? What magic herbs have you found? How did you do this? And the alchemist woman has these two brass vessels once again. And she screws the lid off of each of them. And she tilts them towards the king, and he recoils. We'll start to bring some movement into our fingers and our toes. Into our wrists and our ankles. Up to our elbows and our knees, and he shouts, "You fool, be careful with those." And she tilts them further and further, and nothing comes out. Movement into your shoulders and your hips, your neck and your head, your jaw, eyes, and your tongue. And eventually the entirety of your body will move. And we'll utilize that movement to transition our way into a seat. And in this seated space, let your spine get tall, breath get fluid, and eyes close. And so the tyrant, seeing that these vessels were empty, scolds this woman. Why did you do that? What is the purpose of this? Why would you do this? You're lucky I don't send you to the dungeon right now. And he says, where are the potions that you created? And she says, this is it. There was nothing in either one of the vessels. I just simply told your guards to, before they tilted the potion towards the prisoners, to loudly exclaim what the potions were going to do. With your next inhale, we'll bring our hands together at heart center. Over the course of the next 7 days, can you remind yourself that both joy and agony are created within you, and see how that impacts your experience. Thank you so much for being a part of this morning's practice and for being you. Namaste.